Greetings, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here, Spirit Silver Moon. Sacred sessions with Harmony Energy Healing. I'm just getting ready to go do some work on a beautiful horse ranch. But before I do that, I wanted to carry on. Last night I did a video on strengthening weakness, okay? And I was talking with a friend today, and I just feel like I should do another video. And this one is going to be about negativity and what it creates and how maybe we don't recognize it in ourselves. It's so destructive to our relationships and people around us, to our friends. So I want to share a little bit about like my situation and things I've experienced, and then things I have observed in others, because two people that I have known in my life have been stuck in negativity for a long time. One of whom seems to be opening and attitude improving, and maybe coming out of that. Thank the gods, whatever that is to anybody. Okay, so when a person is in negativity, forgot to silence my phone, so we'll just try to ignore that in the background. When a person is in negativity, they might be being very harmful to themselves, obviously, of course, but also to other people, okay? And so I'm just going to use indirect experiences. So I want to tell you that about 10 years ago, I went through a series of unfortunate events where I went through catastrophic loss is what they call it, when wildfires burned down 1,700 homes in a county. And then a year or two later, there's a global economic collapse and you lose your business, and you're having battles with umpteen different organizations and trying to keep things afloat, and relationships are falling apart, and all kinds of other things I won't even go into, but it's just a bam, 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 bam. And these things sometimes come like that to redirect us in our life. So we find something that we wouldn't have found if we hadn't been knocked to our knees, okay? So some people are in the suffering of, I don't understand why this happened. We lose loved ones, or in different ways, because they leave the mortal coil, as my friend says, or they just leave the relationship. And why does that happen? It's for one or the other, or both. But I'm not even going into that right now. There's reasons for everything that we don't see at the time. But sometimes when we look back on it, we say, oh, well, if that hadn't happened, this wouldn't be happening. So, hindsight, right? I want to talk about how the negativity of others has adversely affected me and made me walk away from connections and friendships that I really wouldn't otherwise have walked away from, but I had to for my own well-being, okay? But when I was going through the hellishness I mentioned before, where you just have a meltdown, where you're just screaming at the top of your lungs, or you're on your knees in tears because you are so tired of the battles and you don't know how to get through it, okay? So like in my case, that's the negativity. It's lower vibrational things because you're feeling so stuck. And sometimes maybe life keeps you stuck for a while, so you figure some things out. Okay, so, and sometimes we talk about it, and sometimes we have a best friend that we can talk to. We can say, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what the state did, the county did, the insurance company, the mortgage company. This is what the contractor, everything that's like bombarding you, and you're trying to work your way through it, and you're talking about it with a friend, and it's negative. It's like another wall, and just all these things, right? And so it's being in negativity because you're sort of living it. That's your perspective. That's the way it feels. It's a stuckness. And so if you're talking about it to a friend, that friend might be, that's too negative. And so maybe that friend will stop being your friend, like my friend did. But you know, that's a temporary thing. That's a temporary situation that someone's struggling with. And if you decide, oh, I can't be your friend right now because it's just too much for me to deal with. Okay, that's a choice. And that redirected me on my path, and I see why it happened, and it's fine. But I wasn't being mean to anyone, right? when I was in that state of lower vibrational negative stuckness, whatever it was, because of all the hardships and not knowing how to deal with them or come out of those things. I wasn't being mean to other people, even if I was bitching about it, okay? But I wanted to come out of it, and I started to learn energy healing modalities, and I started to study and study and study and get answers to questions I didn't understand, like why Christian people treat you the way they do and judge, why they would leave someone at a very crucial part in their life because of judgment or something. I don't know. I began to get answers, okay? So I've been meeting people. So the work that I do, I have a lot of friends. I lost a great friend and I gained so many more, and they come and go, male and female. So I have a lot of friends, and some of them, you know, we recognize people on some level that we feel comfortable to share stories with them, to be open with them, to trust them to tell our stories. And sometimes they might use that against you, which has happened to me more than once in the past couple years. And that's why I'm doing this video, for awareness. So like, we have friends that we care deeply about, even our spouses or our family members or our best friends who we see are in extreme negativity. Some people have been through horrific things in life and they're carrying a lot of anger and hatred and guilt and shame and fear, and it festers. And when it erupts and spews out, it's nasty, it's harmful. So I'm just going to just be very indirect here. And I had a friend who we were doing some things together, and then sometimes that friend or a friend in a situation like that will say, well, I don't like the way this is going and I would rather it be this way, but it isn't that way. And then someone's mad, and then a battle ensues. And then, you know, that friend might start talking to another mutual friend, and then that mutual friend takes that person's side and then decides to attack you, which is what happened to me about 1.5 years ago when I was out of the country at my father-in-law's funeral. And attacking was going on my page, which is where I do my soul's work. This is where I do work to help people. And if there's so many people who will say that it is helpful, okay, to verify this statement, okay, that when you put your heart and soul into something and it matters to you, that's what people are going to attack. They're going to attack what means something to you, something that you care greatly about, or a wound, or somewhere where you're weak. So some people will pinpoint a weakness and then they will draw you in by that, okay? Become very aware of that, and I'm seeing it with a person who does it, that doing it with other people, okay? So we have to walk away from that, and people don't like it when we do that. So there's something to be learned from all of it. So when people get mad at you for a perception, which is limited, and it could be coming from their negativity. And I have this one friend, and I said, it seems like you focus so much on negative stuff. Like, do you realize you're doing that? You know, so, and then I have another friend that I don't talk to too often on the East Coast who comes in, and we'll have little discussions about things. Well, a couple different, I have friends all over the place, and I've talked to some different friends lately. But who mentioned that, you know, we all have mutual friends, and sometimes our friends friend our other friends. Okay. And then, but this one friend said that this other friend that I'm speaking of indirectly, there's a mutual friend and she does cool posts, and this one friend put a comment. They're good friends. I started confusing. So he did a positive comment on one of her posts, and this friend who's in the negative zone came in and sort of did a very attacking, negative comment to my friend's comment. And my friend didn't respond, which is the smartest thing you can possibly do, is to not feed into that, to not get roped in, not get drawn in, because it's designed to provoke, to upset, and then they can feed off of that energy. Why does that happen? I don't know. It's just, it's such a negative energy, and it's a cry for help. It's a wounding, and that person has to find their own way to do it. But all I'm saying is, when you're in negativity, when people in negativity, they harm others. They're suffering so much with their own thoughts, probably, that they attack other people. So yes, we're going to experience negativity. We're going to experience anger and things like this. But what are you creating with toxic, negative, cruel, mean thoughts and words that you're saying about other people because you're focusing on the negatives? And like my one friend said, he's mixing partial truths with untruths. So the negativity creates a toxic stew that the individual exists in, but they spew it out like a volcano, and it harms people when it lands on them and burns them. Okay, so it doesn't serve anything to be mean or unkind or hurtful to other people. How do they feed on that? Why do they feed on that? Is it because they're suffering so much that they want to see other people suffer too? I mean, is that what it is? I think someone like that has not hit rock bottom. Because something has to make you shift. Something has to make you shift out of that zone of the shithole. Where you're no longer using your energy to do and say foul things about other people on the planet who are our brothers and sisters, judging, and you don't realize you're judging. And if someone said you're being judgmental, you would deny it. Don't know how to get out of their own negativity. Everyone, it's their own individual journey. And these videos are just for awareness. I don't know if they even help. But they're just for awareness. And so I'm sorry about the parts of the video that were confusing, like, oh, this friend and that friend and that friend. All I'm saying is that we have a lot of friends here in this, where we can choose to do good works or negative works, whatever, duality. But to where you don't like a person because they're friends with another person and there's jealousy that you don't want to admit. You don't like it that that person is a friend with a person that you think should be your exclusive friend. So you attack that person. If there was a mirror, if you could see it, it would be reflecting to you there's something in you that needs to be healed and released. Your behavior toward others is a reflection to you of what needs to be healed in you. Okay? So like I said before, these people who have been hurtful, we still care about them. But we don't want to be hurt by them, right? So we have to remove ourselves from the negative energy, not because we don't care about them, not because we don't love them, but because it's this foul, nasty, toxic energy, okay? If they can heal the energy and bring themselves to a higher vibrational level and allow you to be who you are, to have whatever friends or soulmate connections you're supposed to be in your life because of your soul contracts, and let it be and stop trying to control it and being jealous about it and judging it and attacking it and being a dick, okay? If that could stop, then friendships could, maybe they could come back together and hold space for each other. But my question is this: how are we supposed to be able to have a friendship with someone who says such negative, nasty, foul, hurtful, and untrue things about us to other people, to try to get them to turn against us or dislike us or judge us or whatever? How? How are we supposed to do that? I don't know. Any feedback? Peace.